now my $100 card. Hi Denise, how are ya? Thanks for joining in. So my $100 card, and I say that because we are using the Celebration Tidings bundle, which is I think about $46 if I remember correctly. This is in the August to December mini catalog. I am also using another set of dies, which I think is in the $30 to $40 range. And then I am also using this really cool cobweb 3D embossing folder. And, you know, so when you add up all of these things and then the accessories I'm going to use today, you can see why I call it that. But, you know, some of these are basic things an avid crafter would have, you know, like the ovals and just, I guess, any embossing folder. This one happens to coordinate nicely with the Halloween portions of our stamp set. So we're going to combine those two things, the bundle and the embossing folder, to create a really cute, super cute Halloween card using a fun fold, because I promised you another technique. And if you saw my post yesterday announcing What's Up Stampers, I always kind of give you a sneak peek, and I told you there was going to be a fun fold today. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab my trimmer. And if you follow me on Stamp Together Saturday, you know that when I score, I most often use this. I do also use my Simply Scored, but for the camera, this seems to work pretty well. So that's typically what I've been using. What you need to make this card is 2 pieces of 3x4 Designer Series paper. And this fun fold is really simple. When you start with that, and then you put the 3-inch side along the top or bottom, if you're a bottom of the trimmer. And then I'm going to put this in at 1 inch, and I am going to score it. And be careful with the Designer Series paper. That can be a little bit thinner than our cardstock, so you have to be careful not to push too hard with the scoring blade. You don't want it to cut through or tear. So you're going to do that to both of these. Now, while you're looking at that really, really cool Magic in This Night Designer Series paper, I want to remind you that this is one of the sale Designer Series papers during the month of October. So here's one side. The other side has bats. I do have the other sheets here, so you can see there are some spiders and just some really pretty filigree accents. I love the flowers in this DSP, and this particular one has some spider webs built into it. I think that's clever. There's the one we're using today. I think this one is really pretty. I've seen some great cards that aren't Halloween done with that. And this one as well. In fact, this one, little sneak peek, I'm going to be using. I don't know if you could hear that, but my mom just tried calling. Usually I don't think it lets me do that. Okay, so I've got these sides, and then of course the other sides are beautiful as well. So we've got some more spider webs. We've got some more bats. You can see them there. And this is the one I'm using. I love this one. Anything black and white with stripes and plaids and things is great. Another black floral, and check that one out. I love that one too. So great papers, even if you're not huge on Halloween. I think it's a fun DSP to have. Okay, so now I'm going to fold these just so I can see that creased line. And then I'm going to take the corner and I'm going to fold this side so it's up against that scored line. I don't want it to cross over the scored line because I want this flap to be able to go over it. So just up to the scored line but not crossing. And then do the same thing with the other side, bringing together this corner if you can. It's not critical, and I'll show you why. But then we're just going to get those really nicely creased. Make sure that flap goes over the top, and it does. And we're going to do the same thing to this other side. And I work left to right. I don't know, it's just my thing. So I do the left hand one first and bring the right hand one over as well. And again, if it's off a little bit and you don't get that corner, don't panic. There are a couple things you can do. You can make the corner. You can make it happen regardless of if it really wants to or not. And then you can see now that this piece won't go over that. So then you can just take your scissors and snip that off, just like this, up, you know, kind of at an angle, so that you're back to being able to do that. Okay, hope that makes sense. Now, just for my purposes, I like to have these adhered down. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Seal and just put a little adhesive there and close that up. Now, some of you have been to this techniques class, so you know where it's going. Others of you are like, what is going on? Then I'm going to take a piece of Whisper White that is 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm going to put adhesive on that flap, and that's going to get tucked under and then adhered to the back of that white so that it sits there like a little triangle up there. And we're going to do the same thing to the bottom. So we'll just grab that one. Last year, I think it was, yes, last year, I made 75 cards like this for Christmas cards. I could not locate one to show you, but if I do, or if I find a picture in my phone from last year, I will share it, because it was a fun card using a paper that's actually not in the catalog, but it is in the online store. And wouldn't you know, I can't come up with the name, but it's a really pretty paper, and I'll try to remember to post that, the name of that paper, so that you can see, because you can go to the online store and order it, but you won't find it in any publications. All right, so we've got our cute little triangles. Then we're going to take our 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of black, basic black cardstock. And I've been using a lot of black lately. I go in spurts with stuff like that, but I'll have to order some more because it's getting down there again. And this is going to go on top of the card. Now, I'm going to tell you another thing. This is going to be an opening for our card, and you'll see after I decorate it what I mean. But I also have an opening in the middle too. If you want to eliminate the opening in the middle, just cut a piece of a quarter sheet piece of cardstock instead of a half a sheet. If you do a quarter sheet, then it'll lay just on a flat piece, and this will be your only opening. Okay, so keep that in mind. For my Christmas cards, we put our picture in here and then our little Merry Christmas message in here. So there are different ways that you can do it, and for the Christmas card, it worked out great. All right, then we're going to take one of our dies, and this is from, again, the Celebration Tidings bundle. I just have them all lined up here on a magnet card. And I'm not going to bring this out again later, but this cuts out the spider in the stamp set. So I will refer to that later, but I won't show it again. All right, so we've got this label that I've cut out of black, and I'm actually going to take my Stampin' Seal Plus for this one. And I'm just going to put some adhesive right on that top flap, and I'm going to adhere that, try to center it as much as I can. Adhere that to there, and then it'll open like this. I hope you're following. Thanks, Sharon. I like it too. It is clever and easy. Very easy. All right, so then we've got an oval that I shared earlier that I use the oval dies as well. So I haven't had my fantastic machine out very much with you, so I'm just going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and hopefully you can see that in the camera. And then I'm going to grab the plates. Now you can see it's well worn, but doing a great job. These are the number 3 plates. We are using a 3D embossing folder, and it says you need plate 1, which is this, and plate 4. So I don't need those plate 3s, and I don't need this plate 2 either. So I'm going to set those aside, because what I'm going to do now is take that Cajun Craze oval, which matches the Cajun Craze DSP, and I wanted to mimic the look of the spider web on here, so I'm going to grab the Cobwebs embossing folder, and like I said, it's a 3D, and then I'm going to put my oval in there, put it on my plate, and then remember it said we needed plate number 4, so that goes next, and then we'll just crank it through. And it's so smooth, and you barely need any muscle power, which is really nice. I'm sorry, I just did that. All right, so then when you take this out, it's got that really awesome spider web on there. Now let's build the rest of the decoration on the card. So we'll take our Stampin' Seal and put this on here. Now with your Stampin' Seal, always remember to have a light touch. That really helps with how it goes on. So keep your touch light. And then we're going to take a piece of Whisper White that is, I cut 7/8 by 3 1/4, and I know 7/8 is kind of a nitpicky size, but I didn't, 3/4 wasn't big enough, and I thought 1 inch was too big. So that's why I landed on 7/8. And then Happy Haunting comes from the Celebration Tidings stamp set. And I'm going to use my Tuxedo Black Memento ink. And I'm going to stamp that in the middle. And then I'm going to take my snips and I am going to cut into the middle and in from each corner. Now, could I have used my Banners Pick-a-Punch? Absolutely. I surely could have. However, I didn't want it to be a $120 card. I thought a $100 card was plenty. So I decided we would do this the old-fashioned way. If you happen to have that Pick-a-Punch, go ahead and cut this piece at 3 1/2 instead of 3 1/4. And then when you cut off those pieces for the banner, you're probably going to have a little bit better luck in the sizing. All right, so then we're going to take some of this glitter ribbon. This is in the annual catalog. I hope you can see that on camera because it's so pretty. And I'm just going to put a little adhesive in the middle, and I'm going to fold it over itself, but offset like that. And I'm actually going to do that with another one if I haven't lost it, which it seems as though I may have. I cut 2. Oh, there. I cut 2 of them because I wanted to layer them. So we'll do that. And then we're going to put a little bit more adhesive, and see, I've got my silicone mat, which is great for this because if you get adhesive on there, it just rubs right off. Okay, so we're just going to layer those ribbons on there. And then we're going to take this piece and we're going to layer it right on top. I'm not even going to add any dimensionals for this piece. Just going to layer that. Happy Haunting. And you can see that awesome spider web behind there. I think that's really cool. And then our very last little touch, I stamped the spider and cut it out. Remember with that die I pointed out before. And then I took my Wink of Stella and then I just brushed that on his body so that he shimmers and shines and kind of mimics the look of the ribbon. That's really cool, isn't it? And then I would take a mini Stampin' Dimensional, which I promise was sitting here 2 seconds ago. I start piling things after I show them, and then that's where I get in trouble. All right, so mini Stampin' Dimensional on the back of our little spider. And then you can decide where he's going to go. I'll just stick him there. You can do more than one if you want. So there we go. And then you can write your little message or stamp another saying in the middle. And isn't that cute? I love that fold. I think it's a lot of fun. Hi, Linda. Thanks for watching. And you can, like I said, mimic that really easily. I would love, if you're trying some of these things, I would love for you to share them with me. I know I've said that before, but I do like to see what you're creating. So please feel free to do that, to share it with me. Don't ever feel like you're bothering me. I love to see it. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that project because it's a fun one.